At 94, Clint Eastwood stands as one of the most enduring and formidable figures in American cinema, a man whose 7-decade career mirrors the evolution of Hollywood itself, from classic studio westerns to morally complex modern dramas. Born Clinton Eastwood Jr. on May 31, 1930, in San Francisco and raised during the Great Depression, Eastwood grew up in a modest, frequently relocating household shaped by his father's work as a steelworker, an upbringing that forged the discipline, independence, and stoic resilience that would later define both his screen persona and personal philosophy. Before fame found him, Eastwood worked as a lumberjack, lifeguard, and gas station attendant, and served in the U.S. Army during the Korean War, where his exposure to filmmakers planted the seeds of a future career. His early Hollywood years were marked by struggle and persistence, taking small, often uncredited roles in low-budget films until his breakthrough as Rowdy Yates on the television western Rawhide, a role that made him a household name and opened the door to international stardom through Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy, where his silent, morally ambiguous anti-hero redefined the western genre. In the 1970s, Eastwood cemented his status as a cultural icon with Dirty Harry, embodying a tough, uncompromising lawman who resonated with audiences during a time of social unrest, while behind the camera he quietly built a second legacy as a director known for efficiency, restraint, and emotional depth, earning Academy Awards for Unforgiven and later Million Dollar Baby, and expanding his range with films like Letters from Iwo Jima, Gran Torino, American Sniper, and Richard Jewell. Outside film, Eastwood lived a multifaceted life as a jazz composer, businessman, mayor of Carmel by the Sea, and fiercely health-conscious individual whose discipline was sharpened by the sudden death of his father in 1970, a loss that intensified his work ethic and urgency. His personal life, however, was far more complex, marked by multiple marriages, high-profile relationships, and a large, sometimes complicated family, including children who followed him into music and film and others who reconnected with him later in life, all contributing to his carefully guarded, enigmatic image. Now, as he reflects on legacy and mortality, Eastwood has reportedly been candid, sometimes blunt, about how he wants to be remembered and by whom, even suggesting a list of people he would prefer not attend his funeral, not out of petty resentment but as a final expression of his lifelong refusal to compromise his values. According to accounts, those names symbolize ideological rifts and unresolved conflicts rather than mere personal dislike. John Wayne, whose vision of heroic westerns clashed with Eastwood's darker realism; Leonardo DiCaprio, whom Eastwood allegedly views as emblematic of Hollywood hypocrisy; Tom Hanks, whose public persona and politics contrast with Eastwood's hard-edged skepticism; Spike Lee, with whom Eastwood shared a public feud over historical representation; Michael Moore, whose confrontational activism directly opposed Eastwood's worldview; and Sandra Locke, his former partner, whose deeply painful legal battles left scars that never healed. Whether these remarks were made in jest, frustration, or stark honesty, they underscore a central truth about Clint Eastwood. Even at the end of a long, extraordinary life, he remains fiercely independent, unwilling to soften his convictions for public approval. In the end, Eastwood's hypothetical funeral is less about exclusion than it is about consistency, a final statement from a man who built his legend by standing alone, speaking little, working relentlessly, and drawing clear lines between compromise and integrity, both on screen and off.